Welcome to the last part of my 4-part series recreating Lady Gaga's iconic makeup looks over the span of her career. If you have not watched the last 3 videos, I've recreated over 10 looks that Lady Gaga has worn. If you have not watched those videos yet, I highly encourage you to watch them because I go through many different techniques that you might want to learn to also level up your makeup skills. So in this video, I'll be doing what I consider the more normie looks that Lady Gaga has worn, and that's not an insult to the people who love these looks. They're just looks that I think are more on the simpler side to recreate, and I think that these series of looks are really great for people who don't really have the time or the resources, especially as 2 days of the concerts here in Singapore are held on weekdays, so many people probably wouldn't have the time to wear these looks out when they go to work. So the looks in this part of the video would be a subtle nod to Lady Gaga if you still want to wear a makeup look that's been inspired by her. So if you want to learn how to do any of these 3 looks, go ahead and skip to their timestamps in this video. But if you just want to watch along, sit back and enjoy the video. The first look that I'll be recreating is this one that Lady Gaga wore in the Die With a Smile video, and I really love it because it's so simple, because it just involves a really nice blocky wing, and what really elevates this look is the addition of the black sequins on the lashes that I use on the top and bottom lids, and that's already something that I love doing if you can't tell already. As for me, I've already prepared the lashes here. I don't have black sequins, so what I did was I just dug through my collection of nail art stuff and found a glitter blend that had some round sequins in them, and then I picked them out one by one and individually painted them black with some black polish. So you need about 10 in total. I also cut out different sections of different styles of lashes that I have, and I mainly chose styles that were more on the spiky side so I could isolate the spikes and stick the rhinestones on to the different segments. So after prepping these lashes, the bulk of the work is mostly done. So let's move on to the makeup portion of this look. You can just go ahead and do anything for your base. Of course, I did my skin prep already, and then I'm just going in with my foundation, and I'm using the 8 Cosmetics CC cream for this. And I'm just using my foundation brush to apply it on my face. And then I'm going in my concealer and just concealing any under eye circles and redness that I have. And before I set everything, I am going in with my liquid blush. I'm using Virtue from Rare Beauty. It's a really pretty peachy shade, and I'm applying it on the apples of my cheeks. And I'm applying it a little bit more than I would because I am going to set my face, and this tends to dull the look of the blush down. But I'm applying my liquid blush first because I want a seamless blend of the blush into my foundation, so I'm really taking the time to diffuse the edges. I'm taking some liquid contour as well, and then applying it on my usual contour points. And I'm using it rather broadly because I find that this Rare Beauty contour works best as sort of a bronzer kind of a product. In this look, Lady Gaga is bleached brows. So if you want to learn how to bleach your brows, I actually covered it in my second part of this video series, so you can learn how to get that bleached brow look without actually having to bleach your brows. But I think for this look, even if you don't do that bleached brow and go with your normal filled-in brow or your natural brow, I think you still look really, really beautiful. And that's because the eyes in this look are so striking that honestly, you don't really need the bleached brow to go along with it. But I'm going to do my bleached brow just because I want to do a more accurate recreation of this look. Again, you can go with whatever you want to do because it is your makeup look, it is your face. But if you do want to do your bleached brow, I recommend you to do it when your foundation is not set, just because it gives you a lot more leeway to blend out any mistakes. Already concealer that ends up outside your brow area really easily compared to when you set your face. Okay, now that my brows have been bleached, let's set my face. I'm using the Kosas Cloud Set to set everything. And I'm setting the entirety of my face because for this look, the makeup looks super matte. And this part is really needed for me because I have oily skin. I'm also setting my lid because I don't want my lids to be sticky when I go in with the eyeliner. And of course, I'm doing some contouring with my Judydoll palette in O2. And I'm using the brightening powder in the palette to highlight my nose bridge. Next, I'm using my contour powder again. I'm using it as my eyeshadow, so I'm putting it in my crease and a little bit on my outer corners. And I'm using some of the brightening shade on my lid itself and in my inner corners. And then I'm also applying it on my brow bone, just patting the shadow on. Lastly, I'm taking the contour powder and running it on my bottom lid, making sure to connect it to the outer corner on the top. And now we're going to go in with the eyeliner. I'm using my eyeliner pen, and we want the eyeliner to stop in the middle of our eye, so I'm placing a line down where I want the eyeliner to stop. My wing, I'm following the angle of my bottom lash line and I'm drawing a wing out until it reaches the end of my eyebrow. And then I'm just going to connect the line on the lid to the wing. Now that I'm happy with the shape, I'm filling the wing in. And I'm doing the same for my other eye. So I'm doing both my upper eyelids first before I do the bottom. So that's a clearer example of what I need to mirror before I go in on the bottom lid. And then I'm doing the same thing for my bottom lid, drawing a line to match that on the top. And this time I'm just drawing a line to connect it to the top wing and filling it in. And I'm making sure to connect it so it's smooth on the bottom. I'm doing the same for the other eye. And then I'm going to take some black eyeshadow on a small flat brush. I'm going to slightly blend out the bottom lash line. To finish off the eyeliner, you want to take your black gel pencil and run it in your waterline on the top and bottom. Now I want to go in and curl my lashes and put on my mascara before I go in with my false lashes. For my top lashes, I'm using this kind of lash. And then I'm taking my pen and just filling in the lash band. And now that the top lashes have been put in, I'm going in with all the fun spiky bits. For the top lashes, I chose something that came in a pair so that it's easy to stick both of the sequins on. And then I'm placing it in the center of the lash. And I'm doing the same on the other eye, placing it in the middle. And then pressing the two lashes down together so that it meets. And then for the bottom, I went with really long spiky ones where the spikes were closer together. For my bottom lid, I'm going in again, placing it in the center of my bottom lash line. And for my bottom lash line, I prefer to put the glue on my lash line directly just because if I put the glue on my lash, it just gets in the way and sticks around all the places where I don't want it to stick. For this eye, I'm placing more lashes. And these are the false lashes in. Just gonna mix and match and see what works. And I'm gonna add a little bit more blush. Before going in with highlighter, I'm using Peach Quartz from House Labs and applying it on the high points of my face. To finish up the look, I'm going with a peachy lipstick. I'm adding a peachy gloss on top. And this is the completed Diver Smile look. I really find that the contrast between the dark winged eye look with the soft peachiness of everything else is so beautiful. It gives such an edge to such a soft look, and I think that really represents the song really well. Welcome to the Joker part of the video. I'll be recreating this look as for my Lady Gaga in the Joker 2 movie. And I think it's pretty simple to do. You just need some brown and black eyeshadow, eyeliner, and a red lip. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna start with foundation and I'm gonna go slightly lighter my foundation. So I'll be mixing in some of my Danessa Murray's Vision Cream Cover into my It's Cosmetic CC Cream. And I'm applying it all over my face. And also applying it on my eyelid just to match the shade. And I'm gonna use this as my concealer as well. I'm not gonna bother covering up my dark circles as much just because the bottom lash line is gonna be really smoky. And I'm gonna set my face completely with some loose powder. I want my skin to be really matte. I'm gonna contour my face using the Judydoll palette, going in to contour my cheekbones and my temples first, and then I'm taking the brightening powder to really brighten up the center of my face. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm using the Makeup Mario Master Mattes palette in the neutrals, but any cool toned neutral palette will do. Taking this taupey color, and I'm applying it into the inner corner first, and then blending it out onto my crease. I'm following the shape of my eye socket just because I don't have a deep set eye, but I'm creating the look of a deeper set eye using this technique. And I'm wearing the same eyeshadow under my eye, and then bringing the shadow onto my lash line as well. Next, I'm going in with this shade and applying it on my outer crease, bringing it into the lash line, and blending it onto my lid. And whatever's left on the brush, I'm gonna blend it into my brow contour. And also same shade underneath my eye, focusing it more on the center of my bottom lash line. Then I'm going in with this dark brown and applying it on my lid, smoking it out towards the outer crease part. And again, whatever's left goes here. And I just like to build up the shadows in this way so that I find that it builds a more nuanced look. And same for the bottom lash line, this time closer to the lash line. And lastly, I'm taking the black and applying it super close to my upper lash line. And whatever's left, I'm bringing it out and applying it to my outer V. I'm flicking the brush out just to get it pointed wing shape. And then applying that black right in the center of my bottom lash line. And this is the shape of the eyeshadow we're going for. I'm just going to take a little bit of the black and put it in the inner corner here. Before you go in with the eyeliner, you want to do our brows first. So I'm just filling in my brows with my brow pencil. This one is from Kosas. And then brushing the brows through just to blend everything out. And now let's go in with the eyeliner. You basically want to draw a wing. And then we want to make a mark in the middle of the brow above our iris. A triangle. And I'm connecting this triangle to the wing. And then from there, draw a line up. And on my bottom lash line, drawing a line at the middle again. And I'm just bringing the line straight down and connecting the point and smoothing out the line. And I'm taking a flat small brush and black eyeshadow. I'm just smoking out this line and smoking it into my brow, and also smoking out that wing and blending it into the black on my lid. And I really want to blend out both edges of the liner to get a softer look. And I'm doing the same for my bottom lash line. And let's repeat this on the other eye. And the beauty about this look is that it doesn't have to be super precise, just because the makeup is kind of a bit messy and irregular in the film anyways. So just adding more and more until I'm happy with the look. And then now that I'm happy, I'm just going to put on my mascara. Now that my eyes are done, I'm just going to go in with a little bit more contour. And for lips, I'm just going in with a cool tone red. And this is the look completed. Honestly, the difficult part about this look is just getting the liner right. But you don't have to get it too perfect because you can just smoke everything out and adjust things with the black eyeshadow. And it's really great that you don't have to get it 100% perfect and super crisp. And now I can also match the clown energy that I have that's inside of me. Welcome to my third and last look in my 4-part makeup recreation series for Lady Gaga's Mayhem concert. I've been recreating this particular look when she was doing a lot of her Joanne promotions. It's super pink, super sparkly, and I think that it's a great look to adapt to everyday wear. And I delayed filming this so much that I went to the House Labs event and got a whole bunch of House Labs stuff. So I'll be using a lot of it here today in this tutorial. Because I'm going out today as well, I'm going in with the Vanessa Marie's Blurring Balm Powder. And I'm applying it mostly on my T-zone area. I'll be using the Triclone foundation from House Labs in this video, and I did wear it out yesterday and I realized that it did break up a lot around my nose and my chin. So I'm hoping that by using this blurring balm powder, it can help mitigate that issue a little bit, and also a bit under my chin because a lot of the foundation did rub off underneath. And I'm going in with the House Labs foundation. I'm using the shade 110 in light neutral. And I did go to the House Labs event in Singapore. And it's pretty funny because we all were hoping that, Lady Gaga would be there at the event because the event was happening literally like 2 days before the concert started. I thought that, a lot of people had the same thought as me, but deep in our brains, we knew logically that she wouldn't be there. But it was nice to be delusional for once. I'm only using 1 pump of foundation and I'm just using whatever's left on my hand on the brush. And I'll be blending everything in patting motions. And I'm also really surprised that I'm now a light neutral because a lot of my foundations in the past were more yellow. But I think because as I've not been going out of the house as much, I become a lot less tan than I used to, and I guess now I'm like an olive neutral. I don't know. And this is what 1 pump of foundation looks like on my face. Next, I'm going in with my Kosas concealers. I haven't gotten a Triclone concealer yet just because I have a lot of concealers to use up. So I'm using the corrector in Magic First to counteract my dark eye circles because I haven't really been sleeping much. And then I'm using a little bit of concealer just around my nose where there's a little bit of redness, and on my hyperpigmentation there on my chin. And I'm also using my finger to pat the concealer in under my eyes. And I'm only diffusing the edges of the concealer around my pimple so that I can retain most of the coverage there. I found that I do have to set this foundation down because it doesn't really set on my skin. I'll be using my Peri Para Hour Capture Primer Powder. And I'm using this all over my face to set everything first. And then I'm using my Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Candy, which is the color correcting one, in the center of my face where I want to highlight and also under my eyes. I'm using this pink shade to brighten underneath as well as add a little bit of pink to the look because this look is super pink. And I found that I liked using these kinds of color correcting powders to add a sort of a wash of color, a little bit of underpainting in the painting. For blush, I'm using the Colour Fuse blush in the shade Hibiscus Haze, and I just got this recently as well. And I'm just lightly dusting this on the apples of my cheek. And it's actually my first time trying these blushes out in general, and I found that the pigmentation is really nice and they do wear really nicely as well. And then I'm going in with the bronzer from House Labs as well. This is the old formula though, in light level 4. And I'm just using this mostly on the high points of my cheekbones to connect that blush into my hairline. And bring it up to my temples as well, a little bit on my forehead and on my nose. And I do hope that House Labs release contour soon, but in the meantime I'll be using Judydoll, covering up my cheekbones, and I'm just using the same brush for all of this, and also my temple, bringing it towards my eyelids. Of course, contouring my jawline and my nose. Moving on to the eyes, I'll be using the same bronzer again. I'm just using it all over my eyelids for a wash of colour. And I'm bringing it up quite high on almost to my brow bone and also under my eyes. And I'm taking my contour shades again and I'm using it on the outer corners of my eyes. And I'm blending everything up slightly into a wing shape towards my temples. So now I'm just going in with a whole bunch of shimmer shadows. I'm using all of these pink shades in this Kaja Bento Box eyeshadow. It seems like she used primarily cool toned or neutral eyeshadows on her eyes. And this particular palette has a good option of cool toned pinks. So I'm using the second shade in this palette, which is a nice cool tone pink. And I'm applying it all over my eyelid using my fingers. And I just like using fingers in general when I'm doing all shimmer looks just because it really packs on the pigment. And I find that shimmer eyeshadow formulations tend to be a lot softer than matte eyeshadows. So I can get away with blending it out really quickly with my fingers instead of taking my time and using a brush to blend things out. So I'm taking the deeper shade here and then using it on the outer corners of my eyes. And I'm blending it up into the lid shade in sort of a triangle or the outer third. And then lastly, I'm taking the whitish silvery shade in the palette and I'm packing it on the inner corners of my eyes. And I'm bringing it up into the inner third. I'm getting the extra shine just in the inner third. And then using whatever's left of a finger and sweeping it up towards the center. And also placing a little bit in the center of my lid and on my brow bone as well. For a little bit more sparkle, I am going in with the Half Magic Glitter Puck. This one is in Dopamine. It's a little bit dried out because it's old, but it still deposits product really nicely. It's so glittery. I'm just patting it all over my eyelid. And bringing a little bit into the inner corner. I can see how much more glittery this eye looks compared to this. And there's a variety of shimmers in it, and I think it gives a lot more multi-dimensional look to the eye look. For eyeliner, I'm just going in with a black jawliner from Kosas. And I'm doing a really small wing on the outer third. I'm then mixing the dark brown and black from the Makeup by Mario Masters palette, and I'm using this to set the eyeliner. And to finish up my eyes, of course curling my lashes, putting on mascara, and I'm really making sure that my lashes look really lifted and full. I want them to be super curled and I want my lashes to be nicely separated. And I'm using the Judydoll Volume and Curling Mascara Duo. And I found that this mascara works really well in giving me really separated lashes because it comes with an eye primer on one side and a really small mascara on the other. And the primer side has a comb, so I'm able to apply the primer quite liberally before brushing things out and making sure my lashes look really nice and separated. And I'm going in, and the other side is like a really tiny wand so I can get into the roots of the lashes. And I'm also filling in my brows. And this is the eye look pretty much done. Moving on to the rest of my face, I'm going in with Sunstone Bio Radiance highlighter, which is a nice warm tone peachy shade. I'm using this to highlight my cheekbones. And I've had these highlighters for a while now and I really like them because they give a really nice seamless glow to the skin. And there is a more on the outer corner of the right eye. And lastly for lips, I'm just going in with a glossy pink corally kind of lipstick. You can go in with a lip liner as well, which will give you a little bit more definition to the lips. And I'm topping my lips off with House Labs Lip Glaze in Guava. And this is the completed Joanne makeup look. It's really pretty and pink. I really love my monochromatic makeup looks because they just look so satisfying and everything blends in so well. I'm also really glad that I got to try a whole bunch of House Labs products for this. But I find that this look is really the simplest look in all of the makeup looks that we created from Lady Gaga because it's just a whole bunch of everyday products. You don't really have to do any really special techniques for this. And I mostly use fingers for my eye look, so if you're more of a beginner in makeup and want to recreate a Lady Gaga look, I think this one is a really good option to have. So thank you so much for coming along with me in my 4-part makeup recreation series for Lady Gaga's Mayhem Tour. If you've not watched the other 3 parts, I really highly encourage you to watch it because I go through a bunch of different techniques that you might want to learn to level your makeup skills. Or if you just want to watch me do some complicated makeup looks, feel free to watch all 4 of my videos. I worked really hard on this series for the whole month of May. I started filming all of the looks at the start of May, and I'm literally filming this at the end of May, right before her concert start. So it's really been a journey, but I found it really creatively fulfilling to just look through Lady Gaga's makeup looks and figure out what exactly makes them Lady Gaga. And doing this makeup recreation series has really made me think about how much Lady Gaga actually impacted my life. Because Lady Gaga came out on the scene when I was literally a child. I was like in primary school. So I've literally watched Lady Gaga grow as an artist as I was growing up. And I wouldn't say I'm super hardcore fan of Lady Gaga, but I always appreciated how much she was able to express herself and her art without fear of any judgment, because people were really harsh to her back in the day, and I've never understood why. Because I've never thought her stuff were weird. Like, I felt that I could always relate to her works even though I was a child back in the day, and I think Mayhem in particular really is the album that speaks to me a lot. So I'm really grateful that I had the chance to actually develop my own creative skills and was able to do this recreation series in honor of Lady Gaga. So if you liked what you watched and want to support me in any way, you can leave a comment, you can like the video and subscribe. You can also follow me on my social media accounts. I have both Instagram and TikTok. I have 2 different accounts on both of them. And I do post a lot more of makeup related content on my Instagram. But on TikTok, I'm a little bit more of a mishmash. You can find out more about me and my personal life as well. You can learn more about me in my personal life as well as my other hobbies as well on TikTok. And I really thank you for watching these videos, and I hope to see you in my next one.